Ya Ali Madad. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for joining us on time. It shows that you not only love the ilm, but how much you desire this ilm. May Mola accept all of your time and knowledge, Nazrana. May Mola be with you on in this ilmi journey, and those of you who help with this ilm, may it be hosting these sessions, taking part in this session, making comments or asking questions, and of course our silent participants. Without you, we cannot do this. What can a teacher do without students? Mother does not give milk until the child cries. Inshallah, together, with Imam's help and mercy, we will continue to give this ilm, and inshallah, this ilm is not only for you today, but it is for our Jamaat today and for the tomorrow. When our children will look for this ilm, they will find this ilm in the recording form or in writing form, and they will say, my mom, my dad, my grandparents were part of this ilm. They may not realize that today, that time and the efforts that you have invested in this ilm, knowingly or unknowingly, it will help our Jamaat, our children tomorrow, inshallah. With the blessed name of the Imam-e-Zaman, Nur Maulana Shah Rahimul Husaini Hazir Imam, with his Tawfiq, Ta'id, Himmat and Yari, we will continue on our session number 18 on the concept of Imam in the Qur'an. The word Imam and the word Nur in the Quran. So when we say Imam or when we say Nur, only one personality comes to mind for a smiley, a believer, a follower. And what is that? Imam-e-Zaman. Imam-e-Zaman. What do we mean by that? Because there are many understanding of Imam and many understanding of Nur. When someone say Imam, other than Ismaili, they may be talking about the pesh imam who leads in the namaz. And there are in hundreds and thousands, maybe in millions, all over the world. And multiple in one masjid. But when Ismaili says Imam, our heart and our mind instantly command us to think of the Imam-e-Zaman. Just like that, when we say Noor, other than Ismailis, they may be talking about just a light. They may be talking about the sun. They may be talking about the light of Allah. They may be talking about the light, the Noor, which came with the Qur'an. They may be talking about the luminous lamp, or luminous moon, or luminous sun. But when Ismaili says Noor, their heart and minds instantly goes toward the Imam-e-Zaman. Now, as we have been talking about this ayat and subject for last few weeks, to bring that subject to conclusion, we have put some of your questions or the way we think in a lesson form. And we will take these questions, as you can see on your screen, so we may understand the way we think ourselves. Instead of a lecture, a teaching, today's session is question and answer. There may be your direct question, or there may be your indirect questions. But those are the questions that we have been hearing for last 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. And this question comes from this one ayat which we have emphasized again and again. And that comes from Surah Tawbah, ayat number 32. And all of you know the background of Surah Tawbah. If you do not know or remember, ask me at the end. Not taking too much time, I will explain. So Surah number 9, which is Surah Tawbah, ayat number 32, talks about that there are few or some amongst you who are trying to blow away Allah's nur with their mouths. And the explanation, understanding of that was that there are people in humanity, and then on and on within the people who are Al-Kitab, the people of the Qur'an, Muslims, and on, and we have brought that subject from the humanity down to us. Because you have to, at one point, at one time or the other, you have to bring that to ourselves for the purpose of learning, self-reflection, and to make sure that Allah is not talking about us. Because one of the principles which has been taught, that every ayat that you read, it is yours. It is not for her or him. It is yours. Meaning, Allah is speaking to you, the reader of the Qur'an, directly, guiding you. So Qur'an is a complete book of ilm, the wisdom, and the guidance. So when we take this ayat, we take three things. Initially, ilm. We read something, we get knowledge out of it. Then the second step is that we understand the ta'wil behind it. And when we extract that wisdom out of the ilm, then the book becomes your guide. Because now that you understand, then you will be able to follow. So this book, the book which is ilm, written form, the tanzili form, the writing form, the way it is written, and then there is a batin, the understanding of what has been written and what you are reading. And I'll give you the example so you may understand. What is the ta'wil in this word? For example, they are trying to blow away Allah's nur with their mouths. So how do you blow away Allah's nur with your mouth? How? By false argument. So ilm was that they are trying to blow away Allah's nur. The ta'wil was, the wisdom behind that was, the batin was, that by their false argument, that leaves us with at last. And what is that? Guidance, hidayat. So what is the hidayat in that? A, do not do that. B, watch for those who are doing it. And C, stay away from them. Very important. A, you don't do that. B, watch for those who are doing it. And C, stay away from them. So the Quran is a complete book of ilm, ta'wil, and hidayat, knowledge, wisdom, and guidance. So now let's come to our questions, your questions, in a short form. Another thing I would like to emphasize, that when and if you ask question, keep your questions very, very minimum in the words. Because when you ask a question which takes 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, or even 1 minute, sometime, and this is my shortcoming, not yours, my shortcoming, I will lose the essence of your question. Because you may be asking something, and because after a minute or 2 or 3, your question was so long that I even forgot what you were asking. And when I come back to you and ask you, what are you asking? You may even forget what you're asking. because you made your question complicated. So this will tell us how to ask questions. So look at these questions. Look at how small these questions are, but very meaningful. For example, how and whose nur people are trying to blow? That's it. Just simple question. It does not have to be complicated. How can anyone blow away Allah's nur? Not possible, right? Because Allah's nur is nur-e mujarrad, abstract nur. The nur which cannot be seen, cannot be touched, cannot be reached, cannot be comprehended. How do you blow away that nur? So whose nur are those people trying to blow away with their false argument by their mouth? Whose nur? That is the question now. You see that? How and whose nur? And the answer was that nur which is manifested, which is close to us, the one we can see, one we can touch, we can reach, and we can understand. That nur, meaning Nur-e-Nabi, Nur-e-Imam, because they were the manifested nur that Quran talks about, that I have sent a nur with the Quran. The Rasul and the Imam, may peace be upon them. And did we not see how from the beginning Iblis tried to blow away the nur of the Adam, not of the God, not of Allah. What did he say? Ya Rab, I will prostrate to you, but will not accept, submit, and prostrate to Adam. And look at the timeline. They did not accept it, Hazrat Noah. They tried to martyr and kill and burn Hazrat Ibrahim. They came after Hazrat Musa. They successfully hung Hazrat Isa. They fought and fought and fought against Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You see that? Historically, we can see how and whose nur they were trying to blow away. The Nur-e Khudawandi, which has manifested in the form of Rasul, Nabi'in, the Aimai Tairin, Arifin. Their nur. And who are there? Those who have, and your answer is, those who do not have ilm of the Quran, ta'wil of the Quran, guidance of the Quran. They never understood the ilm of the Quran. Therefore, they martyred again and again the Nur-e Khudawandi, the manifested, embodied Nur, the Imams. They never understood the ta'wil of the Quran, the batin of the Quran. So they did not know what to do because they themselves lost and left the one person who could have given them the ta'wil of the Quran, the Ali Murtaza, Asas, Imam Zaman alayhi salam. And the third, They again and again killed and martyred whenever it was possible those imam who were guiding them. So if you keep this highlighted part in mind, you will always have your answer, how and whose. That answer you always will have. Now let's come to question number 2. How will Allah protect His Noor? How will Allah protect His Noor? The Noor-e Khudawandi which came with the Quran, the Noor-e Rasul and Noor-e Imam, He protects in, again, 3 different ways. The Noor of the Ilm in the Quran, the Noor of the Tawil in the Quran, and the Noor of the guide in the Quran. Because Quran is with the Noor, so none of its parts, and Quran has 3 parts. Ilm with the Noor, because Quran came with the Noor. So Ilm in the Quran is with his Noor. And when I say Noor, what comes in your mind? The Tawil of Quran came with the Noor. And when I say Noor, what does it come in your mind? And Quran came with a living guide, the Noor. What does it come in your mind? Quran and the Noor remains together. Remains together. Because that is the promise of Allah, that I will protect and complete my Noor, regardless of how much the mushrikeen and the kafirin, the disbelievers, dislike. It doesn't matter whether they like it or not. Allah will complete and protect His Noor. You see that? He did not say, I will protect my ilm, I will protect my wisdom, I will protect my guide. What did he say? I will protect my Noor, because it is the Noor that shows you the ilm. It is the Noor that gives you the Tawil. It is the Noor that gives you the guidance. So I will protect my Noor, because they can make the changes in the Qur'an-e-Samit, the book, but they cannot touch. They cannot change. They cannot alter. They cannot hide the living Quran, the speaking Quran, the Noor of the Quran. That is well protected by Allah Himself. Now the third question. From the same ayat, we have not moved away from that ayat. How will Allah perfect His Noor? The ilm of the Quran, the tawil of the Quran, since the tawil of the Quran is dynamic, is moving toward the perfection, meaning tawil after the tawil, according to the time and the place, changes. And every last tawil is called the perfect tawil. Compared to what? The tawil before. Not that the first one was not a tawil, But the second ta'wil is more perfect than the first. So this is how he perfect. And this act of Allah continues. The perfection is not that today the ta'wil is perfected and that's the end of it. But what about tomorrow? And what about 100 years from today? We will need an imam to give us the ta'wil according to the time and the place. And that ta'wil will be the most perfect ta'wil for the humanity, for the mu'mineen, the believers and followers. So those who did believe in the ilm and the wisdom and the guidance of the Qur'an at one time or the other, but did not continue to believe and follow, then they cannot have and they do not have the perfect ta'wil, the perfect nur of the ilm, the nur of the ta'wil, and the nur of the guide, the Imam-e-Zaman. Under the question number 3, there were 2 sub-questions. Then where will he complete his nur? Where this nur will get completed? Because Allah is the perfect, absolute. Then we learn the Rasuls are perfect, Arif-e Kamaleen. Then we learn Imams are perfect, Arif-e Kamaleen, the Nuran Allah Nur, Imam-e-Zaman. The question now is, do you see what we are doing? We are bringing that subject close to us. We are bringing the subject close to us. We started with Allah, Rasul, and then Imams. Now we are coming one further step closer and closer to the Nur. Then where will he complete his Nur? If Imam is perfect, and if this act of perfection is the perpetual, continual act, then he perfect the Nur through the Imam on the top into the next Imam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. Imam after Imam after Imam. So the current Imam perfect the Nur initially in the next Imam. And then through the Imams into the Hujjatan. As the Hujjatan are the door and the mirror of the Nur of the Imam. Unfortunately, sometimes we don't believe our peers, our Hujjatan, were perfect. When they were the door and the mirror of the Nur of Imam-e-Zaman, as they were Fanafi Imam. So if we ever, Nozbillah, criticize peers or the Hujjatan, unknowingly, you are criticizing the Imam-e-Zaman. And let me jolt you a little bit more, sake of learning, not sake of criticism. If we ever criticize the Imam-e-Zaman, Nose Billah, you are criticizing Ali-e-Murtaza. Because Ali-e-Murtaza, he is the Kamil and Mukammal Imam, perfect Imam, and every Imam from the Ali Nabi, Aulad Ali, are the mirror, just like him, a perfect and complete Nur and Imam. So criticizing Imam is like criticizing Mullah Ali. And not accepting and criticizing Ali is like criticizing Nose Billah, Rasul Khuda, that he did not complete Ali-e-Murtaza, and he left him incomplete. Nose Billah, Nose Billah. And if someone criticize and do not think the Rasul Khuda, the Nabi Khuda, the Paigambar Khuda, they are not complete in themselves, then Nose Billah, we are saying Allah forgot, Nose Billah, his promise, and he did not complete and protect his Nur. And how can we call ourselves a true Muslim, true Mu'min, true follower? You see, the roots of all of this goes into the three things. How and who would do that? Those who have no knowledge, no wisdom, and no guidance. They are the one who will do that. Otherwise, one with the ilm, one with the guidance, and one with the nur, with the imam, will never do that. So the last question here, how do we understand Allah's nur being completed? It is completed in the mu'mineen, because Allah's nur is complete and perfect, Rasul nur is complete and perfect, Imam nur is complete and perfect, then the nur is not complete and perfect in the mu'mineen. And in the mu'mineen, as mu'mins are in darjat, on different levels. The mu'mineen are hujatan, mu'minins are dayan, and then mu'minins are mazun and mustajib. And step by step, their nur gets complete and perfected. Where did I bring that? Where did Allah say that? It cannot be just because I say it. It does not even matter what I say, because I'm just a garib and nachiz, a measly, a mistake-making, sinful human. But when Allah says that in the Qur'an, then on that day, you will see the nur of the mu'mineen, not nur of Imam, not nur of Rasul, not nur-e-ilahi, but the nur of the mu'min in the front of them and on the side of them. That is Surah Tahrim, ayat number 8. And how do we know that this nur is perfect and complete or not? How do we know that? The ayat speaks of itself, that they will be praying, Ya Allah, perfect our nur for us. forgive our sin, remove our sin away from us, and perfect our nur for us. So those of you who are the lover of the ilm and the Quran, read this ayat completely. On that day, you will see the mu'mineen's nur will be in front of them and on the right side of them. And they will be praying, saying, Ya Allah, forgive our sin and complete our nur for us. You see that? The question which was left in the Surah Tawbah, that Allah will perfect His nur. And where would He perfect His nur? We found the answer in the very book which was supposed to give us ilm, ta'wil, and the guidance. The book have given us the answer. Not the book which is silent, the book which is speaking, because ta'wil belongs to Imam Zaman. He is the one who guides. He is the one who will give us enlightenment. And He is the one who will teach us and give us the ilm. So now, again, 3 questions. Is it possible for Mu'min to get that nur? If we have understood the batin of the Quran, and especially in the Quran, when we find a word like kazalika, just like that, and if we have understood the farameen and the saying of the Imams, the kulliyai makillah. So take the word kazalika and kulliyai makillah, and both of this will teach you whatever is for Allah, it is for Aimai Tairin, Imams, and whatever is for the Imam is for the Muttaqeen, the Mu'mineen. So Allah's nur, the Noor-e Rasul, the Noor-e Imam, and then Darjawar, step by step, Noor-e Mu'mineen. So yes, it is possible for Mu'mineen to get that nur. If that is true, if and when they get this nur, would it be complete nur? What does our logic tells us? What does nature around us teaches us? That Allah creates everything imperfect and then gives perfection. Look at anything you like in the creation of Allah. But the best example is the human, you yourself. A child is born imperfect, cannot talk, cannot see, cannot hear, cannot understand, cannot do anything. Most imperfect. But then you see them getting perfection. Little by little, step by step, they learn how to sit, how to stand, how to walk, how to run, how to talk. You see that? From imperfection to perfection. If that is our lesson, learning from the way the humans are created and then moving toward the perfection, then our answer is easy. The Noor initially comes in the form of ilm, a secret. You are getting some Noor right now. The Noor comes in the form of ilm. Then it gets perfected in the tawil. Then it gets perfected in guidance. The Noor comes in the form of spark and then gets bigger and bigger and bigger and becomes a complete fire. The Noor comes in the form of a word, Isme Azam. Then that word becomes alive, and then the word becomes an angel, and the word becomes your guide. Perfection in steps. The last question, what would they look like? What would this Mu'mineen would look like? The Mu'mineen with the Noor, what would they look like? They would look just like you and me, but with one difference. And what is the difference? They will be walking with open eyes because now they have the light, the Noor, the ilm, the wisdom, and the guidance of the Imam-e-Zaman. Their way of walking and talking and understanding would be completely different than those who have no ilm, no guidance, and no Noor. Can a blind be the same as a man with the eyes? Can a dead would be same as a man with a life? Can a man be same without the Imam be the same with the Imam? Can a man with the Imam be the same with the man with the Noor of the Imam? Darja ba darja. You will see them. And it reminds me of one of the Farman, which I love this Farman. The Mu'min is always happy. Regardless of what happens, he's happy. And Imam says, because he is intoxicated by the Noor of the Imam. Because he is complete in himself. And therefore, he does not lose anything. The worldly, dunyawi things does not matter to him. Anything which is temporary does not matter to him, as he is complete. And his completion is due to the Noor. It is the Noor. So there was one more example. Let me see if I can finish that. Yet another example, that when a Mu'min asks for the completion of the Noor, did he get it? Did Allah accept it? His request, his dua, for removing the sin and completing his Noor for him. Who's going to answer that? Who's going to answer that? Not this Garib and Nachis. I don't know. But Qur'an is sufficient enough to answer that. And we find that answer in Surah Hadid, Surah 57, ayat number 12. On that day, the nur of the mu'mineen will be running in front of them and will be on their side. And they will be told, Mubarak, Busharat, good tidings it is to you. Today, your nur has been completed. So enter into the paradise under which the rivers are flowing and live in this paradise forever. And that is the best and ultimate good tidings, the reward for the mu'mineen. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. What day would that be? The day the mu'min completes his nur. What would be the message to them? May blessing of Allah be on you. Salam. Come into the house of Salamati and live in this house of Salamati forever. Would they stay with this nur forever? Yes, stay in this paradise forever. All the questions that you had asked throughout this last few weeks are answered in this 9 simple, short questions with the Quranic references, with the understanding of these 3 ayat. And ayat number 66:8 was our reference of the day, the one in the middle. And what was that ayat once again? That you will see the mu'mineen with the nur in front of them and on their side, and they would be praying. Remember, this is about you, and this is about me. And they will be praying, Ya Allah, forgive our sin for us and complete our nur for us. Ameen, Ya Rabbil Alameen. So we will stop here.